Morning everybody, out here in North Vancouver on a rainy July morning. Certainly does not look like any form of summer up here in Canada. If it was clear, you could actually see downtown Vancouver, East Vancouver, but it's all kind of foggy and drizzly and all that kind of stuff. So today's topic is something that's reared its ugly head, and people have they've been talking about it for years. This is a subject that has been discussed over and over and over again for a long time. And the reason I'm doing this video is because, I don't know, for me, I can see where all this stuff is headed, and a lot of people keep rolling their eyes at me. And if you still can't see it, well, like I said, it's your choice. But personally, I just think you're so wrong. And just because you're following your trusted sources is there's basically no reason for you to follow those trusted sources. Haven't these trusted sources ever lied to you before? Haven't they misled you and deceived you? I guess if you turn a blind eye, then everything's fine. And I wish I could do that. Unfortunately for me, I kind of want to know what's going on, which sometimes is actually kind of shitty, because I wish I could just live my life and not think about all this shit that we're in. And for like many years, I read about stuff and certain things, little things were happening, but now everything's coming to the forefront, as we can see all around us. Everyone's life has been changed dramatically, whether it's not being able to pay your rent, whether it's losing your job. Mandatory now to wear masks, which I never even saw that coming, but you could eventually it just kind of happened. You saw more and more people wearing masks voluntarily, and then eventually local governments are making it mandatory, where you wear it inside. Some governments are telling you to wear it outside. So this is an undisputed fact. This is totally what I see around me, and it's the truth. Obviously, we know this is happening all over the United States, up here in Canada, in Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, and Kingston, Ontario. I don't know if there's anywhere else. Here in British Columbia and Vancouver, so far they haven't mandated the wearing of these masks into indoor establishments. Thank God, because I don't want to be wearing a stupid mask. And what people don't seem to realize, and this is the point of this whole video, is how far-fetched do you think it's going to be from mandatory masks to mandatory vaccinations? And this is something that people thought was ridiculous even discussing. They would never make vaccines mandatory. What are you talking about, this and that? And even at the beginning of this whole thing, I kind of freaked out, saying, you know what? This is going to be a precursor to them wanting us to take mandatory vaccinations. We're not at that point yet, but you can just see it in the news articles. You can see it in the news reporting, where people applaud this behavior. They want this to be mandatory. Not the vaccines yet. They are applauding the behavior of mandatory masks all over the place, because these brainwashed people think that this is going to protect them. It's going to flatten the curve and all this kind of stuff. And like I said, I've talked about it for many months now, this whole corona thing, and the reason I keep talking about it is because it's still in my life. I want it to go away, and then I'm probably going to stop doing these videos. But I just can't be silent when personally I think something is wrong. And if you agree with me or you don't agree, that's not the point of this. But back to the mandatory vaccinations. Here's my big question to you. Since they're making mandatory masks, they're making masks mandatory in many cities across North America and across the world in general. Like, how far-fetched is it to believe now that all you sheeple and all you people out there, the naysayers, oh no, they'll never make vaccines mandatory. How far-fetched is it for you to believe that there is a slight possibility, and in reality a really big possibility, that mandatory vaccines are a probability at this point? Because people keep sucking it up. You can just see it all around you. All the people wearing masks, chances are a large portion of those people are going to be rolling up their arms and taking the jab and get the needle plunged into their arm, no problem, because they think this is going to help them. They're all about staying safe, and they're in fear. And when you're in fear, you are much easier to control. When you're in fear, it's easier to make bad judgments. And And when you're in fear, the government can easily dictate what you do and what you don't do. And we're at that point now. So yes, we have mandatory masks in select cities across the world, not everywhere, but it's just kind of started in the last little while. So obviously, as it becomes more prevalent, then more and more mayors and premiers and governors start thinking, well, you know, it's mandatory in Florida, or it's mandatory in New York and New Jersey, mandatory in California, it's mandatory in Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Kingston. How about maybe we make it mandatory in Vancouver, or maybe we make it mandatory in Calgary, or wherever. Once the cards are on the table, it's much easier for these kind of orders to be rolled out. These kind of, I don't know what the hell they're called, laws, bylaws to be rolled out. I don't even know if they're actually legal, but in any case, government officials are pushing it out as being a legal requirement, or else you will get fined. Some places you actually get jailed. So, we don't have a vaccine yet, and obviously they're working on it. Our good buddy Bill Gates is doing everything in his power, spending billions of dollars funding research development teams across the world, in China and everywhere else, to get these vaccines up and running. And he's not doing this out of his goodwill. He's doing this because he wants to make a nice big fat profit. He said in videos, and I've put that little clip in my other videos. If you want to go take a look back, I put it in there, where he openly admits that the return on investment for vaccine development is 20 to 1. Or is it 1 in 20, whatever it is. But basically, you put $1 in, you get $20 back. So if he's putting $1 into vaccine development, vaccine creation, and stuff like that, testing, he'll make $20 back. So if he puts $1 million in, he's going to make $20 million back. So don't think that Bill Gates is your buddy and he's doing this all of the kindness of his heart, because like I said in other videos, you just got to look at his history, his father's history. This person is not there. He's not a friend of humanity. He's hell-bent on destroying humanity. So he was saying, and Trudeau was saying, and they were saying, basically they're thinking that nothing will get back to normal until there's a vaccine. And we have to believe them, because nothing is normal and we don't have a vaccine. And you can just see it coming down the pipeline when they do have this vaccine, which I think they already do have, that they will roll it out slowly, saying, you know, it's up to you if you want to take it. It protects everybody, this and that. And eventually, select cities will start saying, you know, it's mandatory for you to get on a plane. And I've said this in other videos, but now you can see it happening. If they're making mandatory masks a requirement, why wouldn't they make mandatory vaccines a requirement? It just doesn't make any sense that all these naysayers just cannot believe that this won't happen. Like, can you not see 2 feet in front of you? Like, you have to be told every little thing in your life. You don't have any vision at all to understand what possibly could happen, what's going to happen. Mandatory vaccines are coming. You can just see it. Like I said, if they have mandatory masks, the next step is to have mandatory vaccines, and you will not be able to shop at certain stores. They're going to say, well, where's your piece of paper showing that you have received your coronavirus, your COVID-19 vaccine? We want to keep everyone safe in the stores, and you have to have your vaccine. Just basically anything they talk about with masks, replace the word mandatory masks with mandatory vaccines. That's all it is. It's a replacement of the word, and that's exactly what will happen. And when the vaccines roll out, yes, they're going to be, like I said, they're going to be voluntary, but just because it's not mandated completely everywhere, you're not going to be able to go, basically whatever is with masks, you're not going to be able to do the same thing. You can't go into any stores. Probably, like I said, you won't be able to take any flights. You can't go to schools and the same crap. And other questions with the vaccines. Why are we taking a vaccine when this COVID-19 coronavirus has a 99.75 survival rate? Why don't they ever talk about other ways to cure this so-called pandemic? Everything's always about a vaccine. It's just surprising that's the only solution to all of this. There's no other way around it. Like, there's just so many ways to look at this and break through their bullshit narrative. It's pathetic that I have to come on here and do these videos when really the news organizations, if there was actually investigative journalism, they could break through all this stuff in seconds, but they're not there to inform you. And on top of that, like I said, they're in cahoots with the local governments. They are. And if you think I'm a conspiracy theorist, all this stuff, I don't really give a shit. If you're going to get the vaccine, you're going to screw yourself in the end, because you don't even know what the hell's in that vaccine. And like I said, why would you take a vaccine when this whole COVID-19 thing has a survival rate of 99.75? And on top of this, where were you fucking idiots when we've had the seasonal flu, the influenza every single year for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 100 years, centuries? Who knows how long the flu's been going on? Forever. And they've never made such a big deal. They've never mandated masks. They've never had mandatory vaccinations for the flu. And they've never stopped anyone from entering and requiring papers that show that you're vaccinated. I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. This is just a few months out. Sometime in the winter, probably, maybe sometime next year. But this is going to happen. They will have mandatory vaccines, and it's your choice if you want to take it. But how stupid are you to take a vaccine for something that has basically an over 99% survival rate? It's up to you, but I'm warning you, don't take the vaccine. Don't give your kids a vaccine. Don't give it to your elderly parents. Don't, just start using your head. If you want to wear a mask, I don't give a shit. I think it's stupid. You look like a moron, but that's your choice. But when it comes down to actually putting something in your body that you don't need, first of all, and secondly, you don't even know what the hell's in it, please think twice, think 3 times, and think 4 times. Remember, this whole thing is an overblown flu. Regardless of what you believe, nothing's going to get back to normal until they get the vaccine, and then from there, they are slowly going to make it a form of mandatory. They're going to want some kind of passport. They've talked about a COVID-19 passport. So they're going to basically have a COVID-19, some kind of passport, a paper, or something like that, which will tell the people if you're vaccinated or not. So you won't be allowed entry into large venues and so forth. This is just common sense. And just because it's not in the local news doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's going to be your choice, but I'm just warning you and I'm begging you to do some more research. And if you want to wear your masks, go ahead. But when it comes right down to it, when the vaccine becomes available, make sure you start researching. And don't take my word for it. Just start researching so you understand if it's the right thing to do. Because from what I can see, it's definitely not the right thing to do. And I'm kind of done rambling here, but I just wanted to point out the fact that mandatory masks will in return lead to mandatory vaccines. It's just a matter of time, and we're at that stage in history where everything that I've read in the last few years is coming to fruition. Like it or not, believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. It's still coming, and it's basically here at this point. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching my video. Thanks for listening to my rants and ramblings. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope it's sunny where you guys are, and please share this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon, the notification icon, so you're notified every time I post a new video. And I don't know, it's a crazy time to be alive. Wow, what a crazy time to be alive. All of this because of an overblown flu. Crashed the economy, destroying people's lives left and right.